Hello, how you guys doing? I'm making another video today to help with the I-130 process for an immigrant spouse. I'm not sure about all the other ones, bringing in brothers, family of other types, whatever the situation may be, or children even. Um, I will, well, if you're an American citizen, I'm going to make another video about how to declare your child an American citizen, as I had to do it myself. But for this, what we're going to cover is the I-130 U.S. immigration. This doesn't apply to people in Europe. I don't know what your programs are, but this has to do with U.S. immigration services, U.S. citizen and immigration, U.S. citizenship and immigration services. So, okay, let's start this off about what they want from you and what you should prepare. First things first. Their new photo policy, which I just got this from the, actually got this from, what's the name of it? It's like Secret Service, but not. Anyway, it's one of the new things since 9/11 they started. Homeland Security Office, sorry, there it is. The Homeland Security Office actually gave me this in Bangkok to see about immigrating my wife. So we have that. It says that actually pretty much now since 2004 they used to require a 3/4 turn picture, and they don't require that anymore. Now it's just a flat forward front view like that. So you're not required to do that anymore. You just need to. This is basically what you're going to need. If you're filing the I-130 for your wife or husband, um, if you're, you got to be married. But all right, basically you're going to get the I-130 form, which I have one here, but that's for my wife. You can't see it. But basically, the I-130, you're going to fill that out. You're going to have to fill in your information on the right column on the right side and their information on the left side column. I'm sorry, them on the right, you on the left. Got that backwards. As far as things to include in your I-130, let's go through the checklist basically. Let's see, on these forms it pretty much tells you everything. Fill out the I-130 form. That's step number one. Make sure you fill in every single space. If it has nothing to do with you, then write NA, N/A for non-applicable, or none, or non, something that has to do with you. Yeah, so it even says right here under general instructions, step one, fill out I-130, type or print in legible in black ink, so make sure that everything is done in black ink and not blue. What else? If you need extra spaces, attach another sheet and indicate the item number and date of each sheet. Answer all questions. Use NA or none to fill in anything that doesn't apply to you. Translations. If you have like a marriage certificate that's in Thai, you're going to need to have that translated to English. Usually you get that done over in Thailand. It's reasonably cheap there compared to here to have that done, and they're more accurate with their translation. Then you also have to have that translation stamped. You can't just have the translation. So let me see. The umpaire's office in Thailand will stamp the forms. Kind of looks, if I can find one here in my forms, it looks something like this. I don't know how much of this, but I want to show on camera, but basically what you're going to see is a stamp like this. you're going to see this stamp in the corner here, an official emblem in translation. And that means that they translated it, and they translate it to be true and correct. Yeah, I can't really show you a lot of this stuff. But I don't know, that's the idea. Yeah, I'm sure you understand. It's that's kind of how it's going to look. Your wedding, your marriage certificate, something like that. Alright, you're going to want to, this is what I did and I recommend you do. Get a copy of your wife or husband's photo ID in Thailand, their driver's license or ID card. Photocopy that, make several photocopies. Only send them photocopies unless they request originals. So again, get their photo ID, also their birth certificate. You could get their college or university transcripts. I did send that with them for your wife or husband, their transcript. You know, they don't ask for that, but you know, I say it's something a little extra. All right, they want your birth certificate if you're an American citizen. So get your birth certificate, copy it, send them a copy, not the original, and then attached to that, which that's what this is. I'm not going to show it to you though, but my birth certificate, and attached to that is a copy of my passport. I copied my passport and I attached that to it. So, you know, that covers your proof of identification there. Get a copy of their passport. Yes, get them a passport before you go through any of this. If you're married, hopefully, if you're not married, you're probably not going to have a good time immigrating them. But if you're married, make sure the passport is in your last name if you're a man. Well, if they accepted your last name. Everybody does things different nowadays. If they didn't want to take your last name, then you know, whatever. But just make sure it's the current name. So if you're married and your wife, let's say, took your last name of John Doe, you're John Doe, so she's Jane and took the name Doe. If she took your last name, then it needs to be on her ID and on her passport correctly before you submit these forms. So get all that taken care of. If you have a child, this is really good for bona fiding your relationship. I will do a thing later which will show you how to do it. I did my son's passport. I'm not going to show you my son's passport. I'll have to show you the top part, but yeah, I basically took a copy of my son's passport. I sent that. I sent a copy of his birth certificate, and on that I actually did the translation too. So I just did a front and back print. One side's his Thai birth certificate and written out, and then the other side is the translation. I just copied it like that, so it was simple. And then I have my son's birth abroad certificate. Basically, that's what I'm going to explain to you how to do if you have children with somebody from another country, how to do the counselor's report of birth abroad. You got to go to the embassy and do that. I'll give you a step-by-step. It's a pretty simple thing if you have a reasonable relationship. I mean, if they'll interview you, if they feel they have any doubt as to the sincerity of the relationship or the accuracy of the birth, they'll ask for a DNA test, which you'll have to submit to. That's not a big deal if the child's yours. So I recommend knowing that before you even go in. But yeah, if you're going to take responsibility for the child and it's birth abroad, that it's your child, both your names will be on that birth certificate. Send that as well, a copy of that. Remember, everything copied to them. I chose to write a letter to them stating, you know, facts of our relationship and certain things. One thing they require is a bank account. Well, they ask for proof of commingled funds. That means that you have a common bank account that you both use, your daily, you know, bill paying and all that stuff. They don't want you to open a joint account together and then not use it. That's their idea. They want to make sure it's one that you're actually using. You're depositing your paychecks in. You're paying your bills. Now, the problem with me and my wife is my wife's in Thailand. I'm in America right now. She wasn't living here when this happened. Now, if she had been here, I probably could have got her a bank account, or her on my bank account because we're married. The problem is after 9/11, trying to stop terrorism around the world, and that money laundering that's been supporting it, and drug dealing, money laundering. What they did is they put the CIP program into effect. Now, the CIP program, Customer Identification Program and Requirements, and you can go on Google and you can print this up. I got this off Wikipedia. Basically, it gives you references for where the material came from and everything. You can get that. You know, tells you all the where they got their info, as well as the actual program and how it works. Basically, what this program does is it says that if somebody is not present, basically physically present, is one of the things that the banks are requiring now. You can't just like, even though I have bank accounts existing that I've had for years, many bank accounts with my same bank for different purposes, businesses and everything else, they would not apply my wife's name, even though I've showed a marriage license, proof of marriage and everything, because she was not present. And because she was not present due to CIP, they were worried about money laundering. They're required to have, beyond a shadow of a doubt, basically, I guess, that it's a legitimate person that really exists. And because she's not there to show up in person to sign for it, they can't add her to my accounts. Now, you say, well, you were in Thailand, why didn't you open a mutual account with her? Well, because they want an account that we're actually using on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not doing that. I'm not using, the reason I wouldn't open an account in Thailand is, for one, it's a pain in the butt. But the bigger reason for not having a bank account in Thailand to commingle funds is because then how am I going to pay my bills with an account with money that's over there? I'm not going to deposit my checks into that account and then have to pay bills here in America on a Thai bank. American banks aren't going, or American institutions aren't going to accept checks from a Thai bank, nor will they accept a debit card even. It's just the way I found it to be. And if they do, I'm going to get hit with fees with every transaction. So if I want to go to the gas station on the corner and buy a soda for $1, it's $50, $2, whatever they're going to charge nowadays here, it's going to charge me like a $5 fee just for making that transaction. So that's ridiculous, and it's a burden. It's unjust. Therefore, I explained that in my letter to them, that it's an unjust burden, and the situation of that. I did leave my wife one of my debit cards. I have multiple accounts, so I can just do online transfers and put money in there. I left my wife one of my debit cards, and she knows my PIN numbers, and she can go to the ATM in Thailand and withdraw money when she needs it. That's pretty much how I've done it. I can show proof of that to them for transactions. She's got her accounts, I got mine. We can show deposits, transferring, and stuff like that. Prior Western Union, which I got around Western Union, the fees are insane. So like I said, I left her a debit card with a PIN number. Now, is that the way the banks would like it? Probably not. But at the same time, if I did it their way, I'd be hit with so many fees it would be retarded just to send my wife money. I mean, you want to send $100 to Thailand, Western Union, you're going to pay $20, or not even Western Union, just any of them. You're going to pay a fifth of whatever you're sending, even up to a quarter of what you're sending. You're going to pay a fee for. $25 on 100, so that's a quarter of, that's 25%. It's insane just to send money to another country. So I skipped that whole problem right there, and I just gave her a debit card with a PIN number on a separate account from my primary. But I have multiple accounts, and basically whenever she needs money, I just deposit money in that account, tell her how much to go withdraw from the bank, and she can pull it. Not a big deal. And as long as you don't report it stolen or anything, there's not, you do have to call your bank and pre-approve that account for overseas transactions. And you can make it, that way it doesn't flag as a illegal transaction or anything like that. And that's about it. So that's how I did that, just to save on transferring money to support my family in Thailand. So now I pay like $5 for her to pull it out of the ATM. But we'll pull $1,000 to $2,000 or more at a time, and then it's just one transaction, $2,000 for $5. If I tried to send $2,000 by some of the other transfer, Western Union, MoneyGram, whatever, all those other ones, you're gonna probably, I'd have to check on the fees, but you're probably gonna pay at least $200 to send 2,000, or I can send $5 and send 2,000. So you just make the limit on your daily withdrawal from your debit card a $2,000 international withdrawal a day, and then you could actually transfer $2,000 a day to another country. And that's how we've done it. You don't have to. Anyway, I'm getting off target. So anyway, write that letter. On that letter, I want you at the bottom to sign it, have a place for your signature, type it up, make it look nice. Spell check it. Anyway, put a signature and a space, sign your signature on it. Then I want you to go and go down and put date, and then put the date on it, and then also leave a space for a notary. I want you to take this to your bank, should do it for free, but I don't know, it's wherever you go. Get it notarized, that way there's no argument as to who signed it and who wrote it. It's you. So you notarized it. Attach on your paper that you wrote underneath, staple to it the CIP programs thing from Wikipedia, to explain that to them. That's why you're not commingling your bank accounts until she's here in the country. Now, if you're already married and they're here in the country, then you can get a bank account together. It shouldn't be that much of a problem. Anyway, so then I also went and took pictures. I sent several sheets of pictures and basically what I've done is I collected events, different pictures from different events. Then on the back I wrote what those events were, on the back of each picture. Like the day we got my son his citizenship legally, his passport and everything, and report of birth abroad. Now, I did report a birth abroad. I took a picture that day in front of the embassy symbol, which I thought was kind of nice to send to them with me holding my son. My wife took the picture. I've got pictures from our wedding, kissy kissy. I also included pictures of my wife with our son, me, my wife, and our son all together. My wife in the hospital the day of the birth, or the day after the birth, in her hospital bed with friends visiting and me there to show I was present at the birth of my son. I have videos. I've also stated to them that I have videos and more pictures if they request any I can provide. A picture of me first time seeing my son, holding him. A picture of my wife's graduation from university, from the King's College. And I was there for her graduation. Us doing things, activities around town, the family at our wedding, her friends at our wedding, both the monk's wedding and the white dress wedding. Just stuff like that. That's kind of the stuff you want to do. I say send at least 12 to 15 pictures. If you can provide more, provide more. Let's see, other requirements. Instructions, right? Translations, copies, unless. Let's see, copies of unexpired U.S. passports, stuff like that. You got to identify yourself. I already told you, your birth certificate, passport, stuff like that, identification. If you can copy your driver's license, your passport, and your birth certificate, do all and send it. That just seals it as to who you are. When you do the I-130, I would get it notarized. So, yeah, when you sign the I-130, which is, there's a space to sign it. Yeah, the last space where you can sign the I-130, I recommend that you have that notarized too. I don't think it requires it, but you should do it. You definitely should. And date it. Okay, and remember, you need two I-130s, or you need the I-130s for each of the people that you are, you know, applying for. If you have, if she, let's say he or she has a child that is not yours and is not a U.S. citizen that's under 18, and you're, I think it might be under 21, but you're applying for both of them to come, because obviously, let's say you have, let's say your husband or wife has an 8-year-old child in that country that's not yours. They're not going to leave their child to come, you know, live with you in America. So you're going to need to file one separate I-130 for each of them. But I think it's just one fee. Children you don't have to pay another fee for them. It's like $420 to start for the I-130. There's more fees later. Biogeographical information. Everybody mentioned in this requires one. So you, as the petitioner, the one filing for your spouse in the other country, needs to file a G325A, which is a biographical information sheet. You can download those from their website, or get it from your embassy or Homeland Security office in the country you're in. They'll supply these to you. It's easier just go online and download and print it. So the biographical information is required for everybody mentioned, whether that be you, your spouse, and if they have a child, for each of them. Also, I file a G1145. That's an e-notification application petition acceptance. That means once they accept your petition, they will notify you through email, and also I think they still send you mail, but it's the email just makes it quicker, so you know it was accepted through the lockbox. The other thing you're going to have to do is look at where to send it. If you are in the other country with your spouse, there's a different place you get to send it in that country. A lot of times I think you just give it to the Homeland Security office or the embassy. But you have to have been residing in that country for, I think, more than 6 months before you're allowed to file from that country. Otherwise, you still got to send it to America and file it in America. Alright, other than that, when you file your thing, there's 2 U.S. facilities that you got to file through. There's the 2 lock boxes. One's in Chicago, one's in Arizona. Let me read the states to you. It has it on here. Sorry, I have to open it. Find it real quick. Okay, here it is. Okay, so if you're filing the I-130 and you live in any of these states: Alaska, American Samoa, Arizona, California, Colorado, the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, I don't even know where that is, anyway, Florida, Guam, Hawaii, Ohio, Kansas, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, Puerto Rico, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Virgin Islands, Washington, or Wyoming. If you're filing from any of these locations, you need to file with their Phoenix, Arizona office. As of right now, I recommend going onto the website, because you never know when I made this video. It could have been yesterday, it could have been 5 years ago, because I'm going to leave this up. But I recommend going on to their website and for the USCIS, and look up their it's USCIS.org, and you know, go on there and look which lockbox you're supposed to be sending this to. If it is currently what it is right now in 2013, it is attention it's USCIS, attention I-130, PO Box 21700, Phoenix, Arizona 85036. If you're sending express mail and commercial carrier delivery services, then it's actually a little different. It's the same thing, except attention I-130, except it's 1820 East Sky Harbor Circle South, Suite 100, Phoenix, Arizona 85034. And that's if you're in those locations. If you're not in those locations, if your state or place was not mentioned on there in the United States, then you would have to file the Chicago lockbox, which is Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, and no, I guess I didn't say Ohio, I thought I did. Anyway, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Wisconsin, and outside the United States. So yeah, I guess if you're outside the United States and you have to mail in your I-130 and forms for your spouse because you're outside but haven't been there for more than 6 months, then you need to send to the Chicago lockbox. And for regular postal service deliveries, that is USCIS, P.O. Box 804625, Chicago, Illinois 60680-4107. For express and commercial carrier delivery, you're going to have to send to USCIS, attention, I-130 again. 131 South Dearborn, D-E-A-R-B-O-R-N, Dearborn, 3rd floor, Chicago, Illinois 60603-5517. And that will be where you'll be sending that one. Filing an I-130 with an I-485 if beneficiary resides in the U.S. So if you're in the U.S., then it's a totally separate lockbox. You have to send it to a totally different place with, and you also have to send different stuff. The I-485. So this is just for spouses that are outside of the United States, in Thailand specifically, is what I've, well, from any country I think, but Thailand is what I had to deal with, so this is how it works. Okay, so dealing with all that, make sure you answered every question, make sure you go through the checklist, answered every question on the I-130 petition. Did you sign and date the petition? Very important. I made that mistake once already. I thought I signed it, but I didn't, and I sent it, and they sent it back. Did you enclose the correct filing fee for each petition? Make sure that you understand what it is you're paying for and how many payments you have to make and all that. All right. Did you submit proof of your U.S. citizenship and lawful permanent residency? Make sure you sent your proof, birth certificates, passports, ID cards, stuff like that. Proof of residency if you're an alien who's, I don't know how all that works, but I'm a citizen, so this is more geared for citizens. Did you submit required support evidence? Did you put those pictures in there? Did you put the CIP program stuff in there, or a bank account if you have commingled bank accounts? Proof that you have a child, their birth, both parents' name on the birth certificate, yours and hers, or his and hers, If filing for your husband or wife, his or her photograph, your completed G325A, and their G325A. Make sure each one had to have one. Okay, so that'll take care of your main checklist. As for the photos, this is what you need to do. There's a little more to the photos than I stated. You take a photo, the passport photo, it says within 30 days. So get a passport photo, they say glossy, of the 1 inch from the chin to the top of the head. It's got to be a passport. Just go to CVS, or if you're in Thailand or wherever, get it made there by somebody else. Don't try to do it yourself. Just don't deal with it. Anyway, so here you go. You get the picture of your wife, the passport photo. Get your own passport photo. Mine's inside here. It's behind hers. You can't see it. I put it in a little bag. On the back, write your name in either pencil or felt pen, lightly, so that you don't, indent the picture. I used Sharpie permanent marker. Just write it with that. Write their full legal name. their first name and last name. If they have the same last name as you due to marriage on their ID, then make it that name. So just first and last name should do. And do it in pencil or felt pen, and like I said, don't press down too hard. That's why I used the Sharpie with a sharp point. That way it made now this one actually, the first one I used was kind of big and bulky, so it made the lettering rather big and nasty looking. But the one I did on the back of hers was really fine and nice because I used a better quality marker, which I put here somewhere. I don't know where. No, there it is. Anyway, so yeah, I have this commercial Sharpie here, and that's it. And I wrote it with that. So her name was written, and that's it. I put them in this little Ziploc-y bag thing just to keep them protected. And because I had an issue where I sent them in, and I know I sent in both of our passport photos, they sent me back they sent it back saying that her photo was there but mine wasn't. So, and I think what happened is when the signature problem happened was they had pulled out the pictures and forgot to put mine back in. So then what happened was when I sent it back, I just missed it because I knew I had checked off the checklist and it was in there the first time. So basically, here we go again. So I'm sending it back the second time, and this time should be fine. But I put it in these bags so they can't lose them. It's protected in there. Both pictures, I had to go get more passport photos taken. So yeah, so make sure you go get this to help you fill out. You can download it from the website and print it up. Again, that's www. Wait, what is it again? I already forgot. Okay, www.uscis.org. Okay, and one other thing about these petitions, when you download them and you fill them out, on the top corner you will see on your I-130 form and on the instructions a number, and expires. This one expired January 31st, 2012. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't use it if you already have it filled out, but you need to go on their website, and they give you the information in here where to check, and check the current accepted form. Make sure that the form that you sent in is the currently accepted form. So it'll have the numbers like this one, 1615-0012. If the OMB number is, it'll say which forms are accepted. So if the OMB number says 1615-0012 is accepted, then that means this form can still be sent into the lockbox and they will accept your form. After they get this, they're going to set an appointment at your wife's or husband's embassy in that country to interview them, where they will question them. I'm not sure exactly how everything goes with that process. I know they're asked a lot of questions to see if the relationship's legitimate. How long have you been together? How'd you meet? I'm sure things like that. How do you support yourself? I'm sure all that stuff. Another thing is they're going to send you forms. They're going to make you send them forms to prove you financially can support your relative. If you can't support your relative 100% on your own, you don't meet the requirement, you can get a sponsor that comes in, being that your mother, father, cousin, whatever. I don't know exactly how all that works. I haven't done it, but if you needed somebody else to help you support the person, but they have to sign legally binding contracts that states that they're going to take care of their medical expenses, their housing, their food, basically take full care of the person and any children they have. Because when they are immigrating into the United States, they have no right to any government support, whether that be Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, Social Security, nothing. They get nothing. They're not supposed to be a burden on the taxpayers of the United States at all. So, and that's why you're paying for these forms, $420, $500, whatever it is, up front, just for them to do the work to file these forms, because you have to pay for everything. They are not supposed to be a burden on the citizens at all. So there's a lot of people out there I know have made comments that they thought that oh well, they come to our country illegally and even and legally, and they get away with this, that, and the other, and they're just a blight on our humanity, and they take up all of our services, and but bull. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's total BS. No way. When they come in, whoever sponsors them into this country is 100% liable, criminally and civilly, by the state and by the country, by the government. That we have to take care of them. If it doesn't matter if they're in this country, unless we start deportation proceedings, which we have to pay for as well. They are here, and we have to support them. So even if we separated and weren't even getting along, it doesn't matter. We have to support them. If they go to the hospital and get a $100,000 medical bill, we're liable for it. We have to pay it, not the taxpayer. That's the thing. We have to pay these bills. If they're unable to pay for their bills, they can't go to Social Security. They can't go to anything, food stamps. They can't get WIC. They can't get anything. You have to support them fully. One thing I would recommend highly for medical reasons is if you bring them into this country, I actually think you're even required to have medical insurance on them too, just in case you can't afford to support, to pay a $100,000 medical bill if they need something done, or a $1 million one if they need a transplant or something. So you pretty much have to carry full family medical on them. And yeah, so just understand that when you bring somebody into this country, it's incredibly expensive. They're not getting a free ride at all from the government. Neither are you. So, so those people out there that think that these people are getting away with murder, think again. As far as being an illegal citizen, illegals that sneak into the country is a different situation. Do they get free medical? Well, in a way, emergency medical. All humans are all hospitals are required through Human Wellness Acts that they will stabilize them and save their life. So if they come in a car wreck and they're gonna die, they'll get blood transfusions. They'll get whatever they need to stabilize them. Will they get cosmetic surgery to fix whatever or anything like? No, they're not. They're gonna make them livable. And that's it, and then they're out, and then they'll probably be deported right after that anyway. Some do, some don't. I don't know. That's a whole big issue. As far as we say, oh, close our borders, close our borders. The reason a lot of these people are sneaking across the borders and doing this stuff illegally is because of the ridiculous weights on this stuff. Thailand is one of our closest allies in Southeast. It is our closest ally in Southeast Asia. They've always been our friend. The Vietnam War, they were actually our bases to jump off and go R&R to go, fighting in Laos and Vietnam, and we even dropped bombs in Cambodia and did everything else. Thailand was always our ally. Thailand has always been a trade ally, everything. They've always worked closely with us hand in hand. They've always been very friendly with their policies with us and followed all treaty and agreements with us. And even though they are like our strongest ally in Thailand, in Southeast Asia, and in pretty much Asia that we've never gone to war with. A lot of people say, oh, well, Japan. Well, we went to war with Japan. Remember World War II? We have treaties with them now. We protect them with our military because they're not allowed to have one as to the pacts that were after World War II. Anyway, so yeah, Thailand has always been our strongest ally in Thailand, and the King of Thailand's a good person. And still yet, this can take over a year. It's like a minimum of a year for this to go through. There's a lot of disinformation. If you call the embassy, they tell you, what the expectation is. They'll tell you. It's at least a year for an I-130 to go through before they can get permission to travel. Could be 2 years. There's some that go 2 years all the time. I mean, especially if you don't provide enough evidence. If your child was born outside of wedlock. I mean, a lot of things can cause it to slow the process. It spends probably about 5 months on the Homeland Security desk. It spends another 5 months in the embassy at least, and just going from desk to desk. So I mean, you're looking at least a year. Take the we considered the fiancé visa before we were married, and we decided against that before we married legally, because right now the fiancé visa takes just as long as the marriage visa. Now remember this, I'm an American citizen born and raised. I have a child with the citizen of Thailand. We have been married legally. We have all documentation and proof to show that. It's a bona fide marriage, it's not fake. We've been involved for 3 years prior to our marriage, and yeah, and it's still going to take over a year for her to immigrate. This is frustrating. Now, if she wasn't in Thailand, and we weren't, who we are, if you were in Mexico, are you going to wait, or are you going to walk across the very unprotected border? Can I totally blame these people to want to come here and get a better life, make better pay? Well, you can work in Mexico for whatever they get paid, or come here and get a lot more money, a lot quicker. Be able to support yourself here and your family there. So I understand that what they're after. I don't really blame them for it. The thing is I actually look at our government. If we gave them a better system to come here, made it a little easier. I mean, the Statue of Liberty says, give us your poor, your weak, your, it doesn't say, hey, give us the cream of the crop of what we pick off the top of the froth. You know what I mean? Our country was so great because we immigrated people. We immigrated the people from around the world. We took these people with different mindsets, different attitudes. You don't. If everybody thinks and does everything the same, you don't get change. You don't get benefits from that. People who can think outside the box because they weren't raised in the box are the people who come up with these things, come up with these inventions and things to help industry. We brought in people from all over the world, and not just people with PhDs, because I'm sorry, you don't even have to have a high school education and you can win a Nobel Peace Prize. You can design something to benefit humanity, or do something that own a multi-billion-dollar company. There's people who've done it. So education, we can't just say, hey, we only want your PhDs and you're wealthy. You gotta take everybody in. Now, would everybody just flood in? I mean, we should have, there's definitely some requirements to be checked on, but I think personally it should be a fast-track program for people who have a child and are married. If you are married with a citizen from another country, if you have a bona fide relationship, especially through the birth of a child, there should be, and it's your first marriage above all, there should be no hesitation. There should be a fast-track program within 3 months. Yes, do a quick background check to make sure they're not a terrorist or, something crazy. But other than that, it shouldn't take much more than, I give you 3 months. 90 days. If you can't figure this stuff out in 90 days, our government's messed up. We already kind of know that, though. Anyway, so yeah, what I want to see is a fast-track program, and I say that to Obama, whoever the acting president is at the time you're seeing this video, all our Congress and senators. This is what we need. We need a fast-track program. I'm a first-time married man. I'm 35 years old. Going to be 36 in a couple of months. First-time married, first child. We've been together. We've got documentation going back 3 years. It's not a fake marriage. I think that should have a fast-track program. Now, I can understand them having a little hesitation if somebody's on their second or even third marriage to a foreign citizen. Then, yeah, look into it. It might be fraudulent, but no, not a first time and a child involved. Yeah, that should be bona fide proof right there, and that should be all that's required. Other than a background check and maybe a financial check, but at that point, that person should be a citizen. Now, it took 2 days of going to the embassy for me to declare my child. 1 day for paperwork, translations, and stuff like that of his birth certificate, and the next day going to the embassy and filing it and having a 2-minute interview, and bam, my son's getting his passport and birth abroad birth certificate as a United States citizen. It should almost, other than a background check, of course, it should be almost that easy to bring your wife into this country or your husband. If they've been deported prior, I understand there's issues to that. I have a friend of mine going through actually a situation like that, where her husband was deported, was in deportation proceedings when they got together. and was deported over to a country in Africa. And you know, that's a hard situation. I kind of understand where the government fits with some of it, but I think it's a little excessive. They have a child together. They've been living overseas now for years in his country because he's not allowed to come back here. You know, it's a real big hardship. I think you know, maybe if he was in deportation, they make the relationship last a couple of years out of the country or something. But if it's lasted 2 years outside the country, I don't see why they're not letting him in. You know, every situation is a little different. The more clouded it gets and convoluted, the more trouble it is to immigrate that person. I do understand that, but yeah, it's you know, even with a situation like that, I can understand it taking a little more time. But in my situation is about as clear cut as it gets. It's 3-year relationship, marriage, a baby. What more does it, you know, what more bona fides a relationship? So, she has no criminal history, no problem. She's, you know, doesn't make any sense. So basically, what I can tell you is, you know, this is a process. It's going to take a little while, but you know, this is a good idea. So go to the website, get the information, check it out. I think I made this video long enough for you guys. Sorry about that. But this is the first step. File the I-130. I'll make further videos later as to the rest of this situation and immigrating your spouse, and we'll see how that goes. Okay? So until then, I hope you guys had fun and learned something. Enjoy yourself. The next video I make about these kind of situations is going to be about declaring a birth abroad for your child who was born in a foreign country to an American citizen. I'll get more into that and the requirements for that. It's pretty simple. So, at least it was for me in Thailand. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you. And I'll see you guys later.